Imagine a goddess so powerful she doesn't need a sword, a spell, or an army. She only has to walk into the room, and suddenly gods make reckless choices, kings lose their minds, and entire cities burn for a promise of love. That goddess is Aphrodite. Most people think Aphrodite is just the sweet goddess of romance. But in Greek mythology, Aphrodite is something far more dangerous. She is the force of desire itself, the pull that makes you want, chase, sacrifice, and sometimes destroy. And her story begins in the most cinematic way possible. In one of the most famous versions of Greek myth, Aphrodite is born from the sea foam, not raised in a palace, not trained for war. She rises out of the waves like a miracle, beautiful, silent, unstoppable, carried on the ocean's breath. When she steps onto shore, the world feels like it changes. Beauty becomes a power the universe can't ignore. But here's what makes this story so fascinating. Aphrodite doesn't just create love. She controls what love can do to people, how it can heal, how it can tempt, and how it can turn into obsession. So in this video, we're going to follow Aphrodite's true legend, her breathtaking birth, the scandal that shook Olympus, the choice that ignited the Trojan War, and the lovers who proved that even the goddess of love can't always escape the pain of her own power. Aphrodite's story splits into two famous origins, and the Greeks themselves knew both. In the older, more mythic version, Aphrodite rises from the sea foam, born when ancient violence in the cosmos churns the ocean into something new, beauty made flesh. The waves carry her toward shore, and when she steps onto land, the world doesn't just see her, it reacts. Flowers bloom where her feet touch, the air feels warmer. Even the gods, immortal and proud, go quiet for a beat, because this isn't just a new goddess arriving. This is a new force entering reality. But another tradition says Aphrodite is the daughter of Zeus and Dione, a goddess of love born not from the sea, but from the divine family line itself. Either way, the message is the same. Aphrodite doesn't rule a kingdom or a battlefield. She rules the thing that moves people without permission: desire. And once Aphrodite takes her place among the Olympians, we quickly learn what that means. Love in Greek myth is rarely gentle. It's magnetic, it's irrational, it can uplift or ruin. The goddess of love, in a marriage without love. One of the most revealing parts of Aphrodite's legend is her marriage. Aphrodite is tied to Hephaestus, the god of fire and craftsmanship, the divine smith who can forge miracles out of metal. In some tellings, this marriage is political, a way to keep peace among the gods. But Aphrodite is not a goddess who can be contained by arrangements, because the love she represents isn't about contracts, it's about impulse. And that's where Ares enters, the god of war. Where Hephaestus is steady and intelligent, Ares is raw force, heat, and adrenaline. Aphrodite is drawn to that fire, and the affair becomes one of Olympus's most infamous scandals. But Greek myth loves consequences. Hephaestus, humiliated, doesn't respond like a warrior. He responds like a smith, with design. He forges a trap so delicate it's almost invisible, a net that can hold even gods. And when Aphrodite and Ares are caught, the moment becomes public, turning private desire into divine humiliation. This isn't just gossip in the myth. It's a statement. Aphrodite can make anyone fall, but she can't guarantee what happens after they do. Aphrodite's power isn't romance. It's control over choices. After that, Aphrodite's presence in myth keeps proving one thing. She doesn't simply bless couples. She influences decisions. She tilts fate. And the biggest example is the event that leads to one of the most famous wars in all mythology: the golden apple and the choice that burns Troy. At a divine celebration, an object appears that is basically a grenade for the ego. A golden apple marked for the fairest. 3 goddesses claim it: Hera, queen of the gods; Athena, goddess of wisdom and strategy; and Aphrodite, goddess of beauty and desire. They need a judge. They choose Paris, a prince of Troy, young, mortal, and very easy to manipulate. One by one, the goddesses offer bribes. Hera offers power, kingdoms, status, the kind of rule mortals dream about. Athena offers glory, victory in war, unmatched skill, a legendary name. Aphrodite offers something more dangerous than both: the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen. Paris chooses Aphrodite, and that one choice is like a match to dry grass, because Helen is already married. And love, Aphrodite's kind of love, doesn't ask permission. Soon, Helen is taken to Troy, and the Greek world answers with ships, warriors, and years of bloodshed.
I am humbled.
Aphrodite doesn't swing a sword in the Trojan War, but her promise is one of the reasons the war begins at all. That's the darker side of her beauty. It can become a weapon without ever looking like one. Aphrodite in the Trojan War, protecting her favorites. During the war, Aphrodite doesn't act like a neutral goddess. She protects the people tied to her promise. She supports Paris, she intervenes when she can, and she especially cares about Aeneas, a Trojan hero who is often connected to her through the story of Anchises. And that story matters because it shows another face of Aphrodite. Aphrodite and Anchises. When a goddess loves a mortal. In one famous tradition, Aphrodite falls for Anchises, a mortal man. She approaches him not as a goddess on a throne, but as a beautiful stranger. Because that's how she moves through the world, through attraction, through illusion, through the human heart. Their union produces Aeneas, a name that becomes enormously important in later myth and legend. But the point for Aphrodite's story is this. When Aphrodite's love touches a human life, it doesn't stay small. It becomes history, because gods don't have private relationships the way mortals do. Their love creates bloodlines, destinies, and wars. Aphrodite and Adonis, beauty that doesn't last. And then there's the story that hits the emotional core, Adonis. Adonis is a mortal of extraordinary beauty, so beautiful that Aphrodite herself becomes attached to him. Depending on the version, Adonis's story is tangled with jealousy, rivalry, and the harsh rule of fate. But the heart of it is simple. Aphrodite loves him, and she can't protect him forever. Adonis dies young, and Aphrodite, goddess of love, experiences the one thing love always risks, loss. This is what makes her myth feel strangely human. Even when you're the embodiment of desire, you don't get to control every ending. And that circles back to the deeper theme of Aphrodite across Greek mythology. Aphrodite is not just beauty. She is the force that makes gods and mortals choose and live with what those choices cost. From her sea-born arrival, to scandal on Olympus, to a single promise that ignites the Trojan War, to love stories that end in grief. Aphrodite's myth keeps repeating the same truth. Love is powerful, and power is never harmless. And that's the real meaning of Aphrodite. She isn't just the goddess of romance. She's the goddess of the force that makes people lose control and call it fate. Because Aphrodite's beauty doesn't simply attract, it changes decisions. It pushes gods into scandals, turns a prince's choice into a war, and makes even the mightiest immortals react like humans, jealous, reckless, desperate. Aphrodite begins as sea foam and silence, pure beauty rising from the waves. But everything that follows proves the darker truth. Beauty is never just something you admire. In Greek mythology, beauty is a power, and love is the price people pay for that power. Even Aphrodite learns that lesson. She can ignite desire in anyone, but she can't guarantee it will stay gentle. She can promise love, but she can't stop love from becoming obsession. She can bless beauty, but she can't make it last forever. Adonis proves that. So if there's one line to remember about Aphrodite, it's this. She doesn't need to conquer with weapons, because hearts are easier to conquer than cities. In the end, Aphrodite isn't a fairy tale goddess. She's a warning wrapped in beauty. Love can save you, and love can ruin you, sometimes in the same breath.